Hi, I'm Lila, and I've got a story that's been burning inside me for a while. It's not just about what happened. It's a warning to my mother-in-law, Marlene, to stay far away from my family. I'm sharing this because I want you to know how far things can go when someone you trust crosses a line, and how you can find the strength to fight back. Let me take you back to where it all started, in a quiet Colorado suburb where the mountains loom large and secrets hide in plain sight. It all began one crisp morning when my mom called me, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Lila, you won't believe who I ran into at the coffee shop," she said. Turns out, she'd bumped into her old college friend, Marlene, after years apart. They got to talking, and when they realized both their kids, me and Marlene's son, Noah, were single, they hatched a plan to play matchmaker. I groaned at the idea. A setup? Really? I was 28, a graphic designer grinding away at freelance gigs, trying to carve out a life in Colorado. The last thing I needed was my mom meddling in my love life. But she insisted, saying Noah was a good guy, Lila, just give it a chance. A week later, I found myself at a cozy coffee shop in downtown Boulder, nervously stirring my latte. Noah walked in, all warm brown eyes and a shy smile that made my stomach flip. He was 30, a high school history teacher with a knack for making even the most boring stories sound epic. We were both awkward at first, laughing about how our moms had basically ambushed us. But then we started talking, really talking. We bonded over our love for hiking the Flatirons and blasting indie music on late-night drives. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky orange, we were so lost in conversation that the barista had to nudge us to leave. That first date turned into weekly meetups, hikes, concerts, greasy diner burgers under neon lights. Noah had this way of listening, like every word I said mattered. If I mentioned loving a certain band, he'd surprise me with tickets to their show. If I rambled about a tough client, he'd nod and ask questions, never brushing me off. I'd grown up with just my mom, who raised me to be fiercely independent after my dad left when I was a kid. That made me crave a real family, the kind that sticks together through anything. Noah felt like the piece I'd been missing. 2 months in, my heart was all in, and one starry night after a hike, I blurted out, "So, you want to be my boyfriend or what?" His grin lit up the dark. "Hell yeah, Lila." We were official, and our moms? They were over the moon, patting themselves on the back for their matchmaking genius. But even then, I noticed something off about Marlene. She'd hug me warmly when we met, but her eyes had this sharp edge, like she was sizing me up. My mom had told me stories about Marlene's take-charge attitude from their college days. She was a nurse who ran her hospital ward like a drill sergeant. I figured it was just her personality, but those early moments planted a seed of unease. I pushed it aside, though, because Noah was everything I dreamed of, and I wasn't about to let a gut feeling ruin it. Noah and I were inseparable for 2 years, building a life that felt like it was straight out of one of those indie songs we loved. Raw, real, and full of heart. We'd spend weekends hiking trails near Boulder, dreaming about the future. We wanted a family, a home filled with laughter and love, the kind I'd never had growing up. Noah would talk about teaching our kids history, while I'd sketch ideas for a nursery in my notebook. It felt like we were on the same page, writing our story together. But Marlene's shadow started creeping in. At first, she was all smiles, inviting us over for her famous pot roast, gushing about how perfect we were together. Then the comments started, little jabs that stung like paper cuts. "Lila, you're still freelancing? Must be nice to set your own hours," she'd say, her tone dripping with judgment. Or, "Noah's always been so traditional. Hope you're keeping up with the house." I'd laugh it off, but it gnawed at me. My mom had raised me to stand on my own, but Marlene's words made me feel like I was failing some unspoken test. I finally told Noah one evening, sprawled on our couch with takeout containers scattered around. "Your mom's been weird. Like, she's judging me all the time." His face darkened, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. Noah adored his mom. She'd raised him alone after his dad passed, and he felt like he owed her everything. But he squeezed my hand and said, "She's got no right to make you feel small, Lila. I'll talk to her." I don't know what he said, but the next time we saw Marlene, she was back to her warm self, offering me extra servings at dinner and asking about my latest design project. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding, thinking maybe I'd misread her. Then came our wedding, a small, perfect day in a friend's backyard, with fairy lights twinkling under the Colorado stars. I wore a simple white dress, and Noah couldn't stop grinning as we said our vows. For a moment, everything felt right, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. A few months later, a flash flood tore through Marlene's apartment complex, leaving her homeless. Noah didn't hesitate. She's got nowhere else to go, Lila. We have to take her in. My stomach nodded, but I nodded. I wanted to be the kind of wife who stepped up, who built the family I'd always wanted. So Marlene moved into our spare room, her boxes of knickknacks and medical textbooks piling up in our cozy home. At first, it wasn't so bad. Marlene cooked dinners, and we'd watch old movies together. But then I got pregnant and everything changed. Noah and I were over the moon. Our dream of a family was coming true. We'd lie in bed, his hand on my belly, whispering names for our baby. But morning sickness hit me hard. I dragged myself through work, barely able to keep food down, and come home too exhausted to even think about chores. Marlene noticed, and her old sharpness came back, worse than before. Lila, the kitchen's a mess, she'd snap. You can't just lie around all day. I tried to explain. My legs were swollen. My head was pounding, but she'd roll her eyes. I worked through my whole pregnancy with Noah. You're young, you'll manage. One afternoon, I came home early, my body aching so bad I could barely stand. I collapsed onto the couch, hoping for a moment's peace. Marlene stormed in, her voice like a whip. Lila, the laundry's piling up. What's your excuse now? I stared at her, my throat tight. Marlene, I'm in pain. I can barely move. She scoffed, crossing her arms. Pain? You're just milking this pregnancy for attention. Get up and do your job. I snapped. You have no idea what I'm going through. This isn't a game. Her eyes widened, but she didn't back down. Don't raise your voice at me. I'm just a guest here, but you're letting this house fall apart. I was shaking, tears burning my eyes. Noah came home just then, his keys jingling as he stepped inside. He saw me, saw the tension, and his face hardened. What's going on? He asked. I poured it all out. Marlene's demands, her cruel words. Noah's jaw clenched, and he turned to his mom. This stops now. Lila's carrying our child. You don't get to treat her like this. Marlene tried to argue, but Noah cut her off. If you can't respect her, you're out. I held my breath, watching Marlene's face crumple. She nodded silently, and for a while, things got better. But I should have known it was just the calm before the storm. The rest of my pregnancy wasn't easy, but Noah's stand against Marlene gave me a flicker of hope. My symptoms eased up as the months went on, and we threw ourselves into preparing for our baby. We painted the nursery a soft yellow, hung little star decals on the walls, and picked out a crib that Noah assembled while cursing the instructions. Every kick in my belly felt like a promise, a new start, a family of our own. But Marlene's presence still hung over us like a storm cloud. She'd be polite one day, then snap at me the next for leaving dishes in the sink. I bit my tongue, not wanting to stress Noah, who was already juggling his teaching job and his worry for me. Finally, the day came. After a grueling labor, I gave birth to our daughter, Sophie, her tiny cries filling the hospital room with joy. Noah held my hand, tears in his eyes, as we looked at her perfect little face. We stayed in the hospital for 2 days, soaking in every moment with our girl. When Noah drove us home, my body ached from childbirth, and exhaustion weighed me down like a heavy blanket. All I wanted was to curl up with Sophie and rest. Marlene greeted us at the door, her smile wide, but her eyes sharp. Oh, look at my granddaughter, she cooed, reaching for Sophie. She's a little angel. I forced a smile, clutching Sophie a bit tighter. Thanks, Marlene. I'm pretty wiped out, so I'm gonna rest. Noah nodded. Lila's been through a lot, Mom. Sophie kept us up all night. Can you help out, so she can sleep? Marlene's smile didn't waver, but I caught a glint in her eyes. Of course, dear. I'll watch Sophie. You go rest. I hesitated, my instinct screaming to keep Sophie close. But Noah's reassuring nod made me relent. Just for a couple hours, I said, handing Sophie over. I collapsed into bed, my body screaming with every movement, and fell into a deep sleep. I woke to Sophie's cries echoing through the house, sharp and desperate. My heart lurched. I stumbled out of bed, ignoring the pain shooting through my stitches, and followed the sound to Marlene's room. The door was closed. I knocked, calling out, "Marlene? Is Sophie okay?" No answer. Sophie's cries grew louder, and panic clawed at my chest. I pounded on the door. "Marlene, open the door." After what felt like forever, the door cracked open, just enough for me to see Marlene's face, calm and cold. "What's wrong, Lila?" "I'm handling it." "Handling it?" "She's crying. Let me see her." I pushed against the door, but Marlene held it firm. "Not until you learn your place," she said, her voice low. "You can't rely on Noah for everything. There's dishes to wash, floors to vacuum, and the bathroom's a mess. Do chores, and then you can have her." My blood ran cold. "Are you serious? I just gave birth. Give me my daughter." Marlene's eyes narrowed. "The longer you argue, the longer she cries. And don't tell Noah, or it'll be worse for you." Fear choked me, drowning out my anger. Sophie's cries were like knives in my heart. I didn't understand why Marlene was doing this, but I couldn't risk Sophie's safety. "Fine," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "What do I need to do?" Marlene listed her demands: dishes, vacuuming, scrubbing the bathroom. "And do it before Noah gets home," she added. I nodded, my body trembling, and shuffled to the kitchen, pain radiating with every step. I popped painkillers to keep from collapsing, sobbing as I scrubbed plates, terrified for Sophie, but too scared to defy Marlene. All I could think was, how did it come to this? I scrubbed the bathroom floor, my hands shaking as tears mixed with the soapy water. Every movement sent pain shooting through my body, but Sophie's cries echoed in my mind, pushing me to keep going. I'd vacuumed the living room, washed a mountain of dishes, and now I was on my knees, scrubbing tiles like my life depended on it. Maybe it did. Marlene's threat hung over me, her calm, cruel voice telling me not to tell Noah, or she'd make things worse. I didn't know what she was capable of, and that scared me more than anything. All I wanted was my daughter back in my arms, safe. I was halfway through cleaning when I heard the front door open. My heart stopped. Noah wasn't supposed to be home yet. He'd said he'd be at school late, grading papers. But there he was, calling out, "Lila? Sophie? I came home early to surprise you." His voice was warm, excited, but it turned sharp when he saw the bathroom light on. He stepped in and froze, his eyes wide as he saw me on the floor, sobbing, a sponge in my hand. "Lila, what the hell are you doing? You just gave birth." He dropped to his knees beside me, his hands gentle but urgent as he pulled me up. I broke down, the weight of everything crashing over me. Noah held me, stroking my hair as I cried harder than I ever had. "Babe, talk to me," he whispered. "What's going on?" I could barely get the words out, my voice shaking as I told him everything, Marlene locking Sophie in her room, her demands, her threats. Noah's face went from worry to rage, his eyes blazing in a way I'd never seen. He didn't say a word, just helped me to the couch and stormed to Marlene's room, banging on the door. "Open it, Mom. Now." Marlene opened the door, her face a mask of surprise. "Noah? You're home early. Did you forget something?" "Noah didn't buy it." "Don't play innocent. I know what you did to Lila. Locking Sophie away? Forcing her to clean? What's wrong with you?" Marlene's composure cracked, but she tried to deflect. "I was just teaching her responsibility. She's got to learn to be a wife and mother." Noah's voice rose, shaking with fury. "Teaching her? By torturing her? She's recovering from childbirth. And Sophie's a newborn. You had no right to use her like that." I stood in the hallway, clutching the wall for support, my heart pounding. Marlene's voice turned defensive. I'm your mother, Noah. I know what's best for this family. Noah cut her off, his words like steel. Not anymore. This is my home, my family. You've crossed a line and I'm done. Pack your things. You're out. Marlene gasped, her eyes darting to me. Lila put you up to this, didn't she? She's turning you against me. Noah stepped closer, his voice low and final.
No, Mom.
You did this. The only reason you're not out on the street already is because Lila begged me to give you chances. But this is unforgivable. He pushed past her, gently lifting Sophie from her crib. Her cries softened as he cradled her, and he handed her to me. I held her close, tears streaming down my face as I kissed her tiny forehead. Noah turned back to Marlene. You've got one day to find somewhere else to stay. Don't test me. Marlene's face crumpled, but I felt no pity, only relief that Sophie was safe and Noah was by my side. As he led me back to our room, I knew things would never be the same, but for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. After that day, Noah didn't waver. He was my rock, but I could see the pain in his eyes. Kicking his own mother out wasn't easy, even after everything she'd done. I wanted Marlene gone, but part of me ached for the family I'd hoped we could be. Still, Sophie was my world now, and I'd do anything to protect her. Noah felt the same. A few days later, he sat me down, his face serious but calm. Lila, what she did to you, and Sophie, it's not just cruel, it's dangerous. I'm filing a lawsuit. She needs to face consequences. I hesitated, my stomach twisting. Noah, a lawsuit? Against your mom? That's big. He took my hands, his grip steady. You and Sophie are my everything. No one gets to hurt you like that, not even her. She endangered our daughter. We can't let this slide. His words hit me hard, washing away the guilt I'd been carrying. I'd spent so long trying to keep the peace, swallowing my pain to avoid conflict. But Noah was right. Marlene had gone too far. I nodded, tears in my eyes. Okay, let's do it. Noah moved fast. He'd installed baby cameras around the house before Sophie, and I came home from the hospital, a precaution because of Marlene's earlier behavior. Those cameras caught everything. Her locking Sophie in the room, her demands, my distress. The evidence was undeniable. When Marlene was served court papers, she called Noah, her voice trembling. How could you do this to me? I'm your mother. Noah didn't flinch. You hurt my wife and daughter. You made your choice. She tried to beg, promising to change, but Noah shut her down. You had your chance. Now you face the truth. The court case moved quickly. Marlene was charged with a misdemeanor for endangering Sophie and harassing me. The judge didn't hold back, calling her actions callous and reckless. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. As she stood in the courtroom, handcuffed and sobbing, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I didn't want her to suffer, but I needed to know Sophie and I were safe. Noah squeezed my hand, his face set with quiet resolve. He'd fought for us, and for the first time, I felt truly protected. Life after the trial wasn't easy, but it was ours. Sophie grew stronger every day, her giggles filling our home with light. Noah and I leaned on each other, rebuilding the trust Marlene had shattered. My mom called often, offering support from afar, and our friends rallied around us, bringing meals and babysitting so we could catch our breath. Marlene served her time and started therapy, sending letters to apologize. I read them, but I wasn't ready to forgive, not yet. When she tried to visit once, I told her I'd get a restraining order if she came near us again. I hated being that harsh, but Sophie's safety came first. Our home became our sanctuary again. Noah and I took turns rocking Sophie to sleep, whispering about the life we'd build for her. The pain Marlene caused lingered, like a bruise that fades but doesn't vanish. But every time I looked at Sophie's tiny face or felt Noah's arms around me, I knew we'd come out stronger. We weren't just surviving, we were thriving, building a future rooted in love and trust. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through fear, heartbreak, and triumph. If this story hit you hard, maybe made you angry or hopeful, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every challenge we face, every stand we take, is a story of fighting for what matters. Keep building your own strength, your own family, your own truth. I'll meet you right here, where every moment tells a story of heart, hope, and a new beginning.